before you buy soil, before you buy seeds, and before you buy anything at all, we need to talk containers.
Some things I ain't recognized. Then looked in my mirror, way to the back of my eyes, and said, "You won't fly."
This is where most beginner gardeners, they lose confidence and waste a lot of money. So let's talk containers. Like, listen, containers are not glamorous, but they matter more than what people think. And if you understand containers, you eliminate one of the biggest frustrations that beginner gardeners have. Container gardening is one of the best ways for people to learn how to garden. In containers, you control the soil, the watering, the placement, and the learning curve. When you garden in ground, everything kind of happens at once. When you garden in containers, you can slow things down a bit. And slow, I believe, builds confidence. Okay, let's make this really, really simple, okay? A container needs 3 things. 1, space for roots. 2, soil that drains. You don't want heavy soil that the water sits and settles on top, right? 3 is a way, same thing. You want a way that the water can escape because roots don't like wet feet. Those 3 things, that's it. That's all. Color doesn't matter. The latest trend, that doesn't matter. That Instagram, those pretty gardens and raised beds and these people that have these lovely, lovely gardens. None of that. It doesn't matter. Remember, if it holds soil that drains, and which means a way for that water to escape. Okay? No wet feet. So not even the price. The price doesn't matter. If you know, there are several places I know personally that you can go to your local farmer, your local nursery. Everybody try this. Go to your local nursery. And if you go to your local nursery, you may find that they have a place, especially early spring, where they're just giving away containers. They're giving away containers, large, small, all different sizes, because they're in the mode of making things pretty around their nursery and showing you how to display plants. And so they have the plethora of containers for the free. So we check your local nursery for containers. Let's talk drainage. Okay, drainage is non-negotiable. Drainage is just, it's not optional. If water cannot leave your container, that's a problem. Plants like moisture. They don't like wet feet. They don't like to be drowning in water. Roots need moisture. They don't like to drown. So every time you look at a container, ask the question, where does the water go? How does the water So if you look at a container and you don't know where the water goes, if the answer is nowhere, that is not the right container. Move on. You can always drill holes though, okay? And we'll show some examples of how I buy containers and then I drill holes in those containers to make them proper containers for gardening. The one thing is, you have to make sure that the drainage works, because you can't undo root rot. I don't care how hard you try. Once your roots have rotted because it's been soaking in water for days or drowning, there's no way to save that plant. So let's make sure we find containers that have some place for the water to go. Okay, container size. Size does matter a lot, way more than people think, okay, in gardening. Small containers dry out quickly. I mean, if you have a little bit of soil and a lot of roots in a small container, the plant may be doing well and it's a big bushy plant, but you will have to water that plant 2 or 3 times a day to keep the soil moist, right? So size does matter. Large containers hold moisture longer and it gives roots room to grow. Okay. So as beginners, what we want to do is find larger containers that has drainage, and maybe some of us are gardening for the first time. You want to leave room for error and leave room for mistakes. Say one day you're not able to water your plant. If you're in a larger container, it holds moisture longer. We have some other tricks as we get into the season and we start to prepare our containers. We'll see some tricks we can do to help retain moisture in any container. Okay? So, to sum it up, with the size of your container, when in doubt, go larger. Just go larger, and it'll give you all the satisfaction that you need and the room for your plant to be successful as possible. Let's talk materials. What actually matters when it comes to the what your container is made of, right? So you'll see containers made of plastic, ceramic, terracotta, fabric grow bags, metal, even baskets, you know? So here's the truth. Here's the truth about all of those. And I've grown in about every one of what I just named, right? And the truth about that is the plant that does not care about how the container looks. It's really the conditions. Remember, we talked earlier is that before we talk plants or anything, it's the conditions. You know, nobody has a black thumb. It's putting your plant in the best conditions possible for them to grow and succeed and bear the fruit. Again, so the plant doesn't matter. The plant doesn't care how the container looks. That might be us. We might have a little, and that's me. That's me all day, because aesthetics. Everybody knows aesthetics means everything to the girlies, right? You guys out there that's gardening, you also probably want your plants. You don't want just a wild garden and the containers look shabby or whatever. You would love to have a nice looking container. So let's talk about what does matter for containers. What really matters is, again, drainage, depth, like how big it is, the stability. Make sure you don't have a container that can blow over. But if you have enough soil in most things, but not a three-legged container, something that's stable, preferably big, and that something no one can knock it over and destroy your plant, that it has weight to it. Plastic holds moisture longer. I mean, I know we sometimes don't want to grow in plastic, but there are food safe plastic containers that we can purchase. And believe it or not, there are things that you have around your house that you can use as containers. I'm going to give you all some hints on some places that you're able to get containers that are food safe and a little bit aesthetic as well. Okay, fabric grow bags. Fabric grow bags drain well. They drain well. They drain on the side, the bottoms, and they hold moisture, right? The one thing is, you have to make sure you have the right size with grow bags. So again, bigger is better. The more, and make sure that you fill your soil. Make sure the soil level is is at a decent level. We'll talk soil in another episode. Okay, here's that word again, aesthetics. Choose containers based on your watering style. And I don't want to say watering is a style. It's your watering habits or your capabilities. Definitely, if you want to have cute little small pots and you're able to go out every day, and it's all dependent on where you have established that you're going to grow. If you can go out and water 2 and 3 times a day and keep that soil moist, by all means use small cute little pots. I recommend that based on your space and your watering habits, not aesthetics, that's how you choose your container. Okay, let me save you some money here. You do not need decorative pots with no holes. Sometimes you see them at TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and they have no holes. Now you can get those, and we'll talk about this. Those can be cover pots where you can put a smaller pot that does have drainage inside of there, but without any holes, and you have it outside, water can still deposit in the bottom of that pot. Okay, so we're going to be careful about the decorative pots. Okay, I'm losing my daylight here. I'm losing my sunlight, but I'm going to keep going. Stick with me. Here's what not to buy. Tiny beginner kits. We're not going there. Complicated self-watering systems that none of us understand. Expensive matching container sets, that small, medium, large, and they're cute with all the flowers. We don't need that. Remember, we're not here for aesthetics. We're here to grow food. Start simple. Simple builds confidence. Once we have a pot, soil, and seeds, or pot, soil, and a start, we're gardeners. We're growing. So let's start simple. And then confidence. Once we have that confidence, we build gardens. Here are a few mistakes for you to avoid when choosing your container. Okay, the first thing we need to avoid, a few things we need to avoid, is choosing shallow containers, right? We're going to make sure that we have depth to our containers. Choosing style over function. There goes those aesthetics again. Placing containers where they can't drain properly. Overcrowding with multiple plants in one small pot. Each plant needs its own room to grow. Okay, so as we come to the end, here's a mindset moment, right? As we become expert gardeners, containers teach us something. Plants thrive when they have the best conditions, and that's what we're going to provide. And and so do we. When the structure is right, growth feels natural. When the structure is wrong, everything feels off and feels like a struggle. And we don't want to struggle. We don't struggle no more. Let's set ourselves up for success in the beginning. Even the perfect container can't fix bad soil. And that's where we'll go in the next episode. We'll talk soil. Soil is our foundation. And now that we have surveyed our area, we have found out what we can grow where we live. We know how to choose our containers. Now it's time to talk soil. So come back for the next episode where we talk soil. Watch the next episode. Like, comment, and subscribe. Comment, I'm starting. This is Grow With YoLo, where we grow with intention. And I'm glad you're here. See you next time.
Some things I ain't recognized. Then looked in my mirror. my eyes and said, "You won't fly."